Hello y'all, this is Hordes of Asia, a mod for Hearts of Iron 4 currently in pre-alpha. It takes place in 15 AD or 15 CE, depending who you ask. Besides being before World War II by a few centuries, it centers around a timeline where the Chinese Ming dynasty fell after a long Tumu crisis, which is 50 years give or take before the start date. As we'll soon find out, there is some other, differences in this world that don't really compare to what happened in our timeline. Let's play as the Latin Empire, who is in quite a good position as the Ottoman Empire has been unable to reunite after a Timurid incursion, which leaves us with our main threat, the Rum Sultanate. The only issues we are having as this Crusader state is getting recognition as Trebizond holds onto their claims for the Byzantine throne. We begin with the army-led politics. National spirit monarchist is the ruling ideology, and we lead our own faction, the Latin Alliance. We have 4 subjects: the Principality of Achaia, Duchy of Athens, Kingdom of Thessalonica, and Duchy of Naxos. All of these puppets could be referred to as Crusader states, just like the Latin Empire could be. Brief history on the Latin Empire. It was founded in 1204 by the leaders of the Fourth Crusade. The intention was to make it the Western recognized Roman Empire in the East and replace the Eastern Orthodox emperors with Catholic ones. It lasted until 1261 when it was beaten by the Nicene Empire, who then restored the Byzantine Empire until that would end in 1453. Somehow, the Latin Empire has managed to survive in this world. Looking at the starting army, we have 13 divisions, 7 infantry, and 6 cavalry. The infantry being called the Crusader Force, and the cavalry is referred to as Latin Cavalry. Browsing through the military technology, we have hand cannons. We can't get tanks because it isn't 1918 yet. We can research artillery, and we have no access to airplanes. The plain area of the map covers a lot of Asia. It barely goes into Europe and none of Africa. With that said, at least we don't have to worry about enemies coming from the west. We're not even going to bother with industrial or electronics technology, which is good, mainly because it would take more than 50,000 days to research even one piece of tech. Let's start the focus tree with strengthen the Latin state, then address the Senate, and after that, reconfigure the Senate. Over in the distant east, Transoxiana is breaking away from Timurid suzerainty. Things seem to be heating up over there. The Timurids declare war on Mawaranar, which I think is Transoxiana with a different name. The Last Stand, the Great Horde, is close to collapse thanks to economic complications, to Black Death, and wars. Once the mighty Golden Horde, it could be facing its fate soon. It's gotten pretty bad for the Timurids. They got a succession crisis, and they're being attacked by Afghanistan and Kandahar, which is a city in Afghanistan. The status quo in parts of Persia and Afghanistan seems close to disintegrating. Besides the issues with the Timurids, Mawaranar looks to be fighting a few countries, including Khorasan and Berk. This is going to be either the Great Horde's finest hour or their greatest loss. They have declared war on both the Crimean Khanate to their west and the Nogais to their east. In the focus tree, let's divert the military's influence to remove the army-led politics, national spirit, then make deals with the Phoenicians and destroy the pretenders. The Timurids are no more. They got overwhelmed. Afghanistan and Belt got some land, while Transoxiana and Persia was created from the pieces of territory that were left. Over in the Indian subcontinent, Malwa declares war on Delhi. Good luck with that is all I can say. Khorasan was puppeted by Mawaranar. I imagine they'll be helping the overlord fight in the other 3 wars they are in. The Great Horde was crushed. Meanwhile, in Asia near the Karalan River in Mongol territory, the leader of the Northern Yuan dynasty holds a rally and makes his aspirations to reunite the Mongol tribes clear. The 4 Oirat, neighbor to the Northern Yuan, are set to be on a collision course with them due to Northern Yuan ambitions. The 2 will eventually battle for regional dominance. Once the Destroy the Pretenders focus is complete, Nicene loyalists will revolt, and we get a war goal on Trebizond, which we can only do so much with because we don't have direct land access to their country. A war starts in Burma/Myanmar between Tungu and Ava. The Empire of Nicaea revolt has begun. Let's send some troops over to them so they can be defeated as quickly as possible. The revolt doesn't seem to have too many divisions, so we'll just trap the ones they have and maneuver around them. The Nicene Empire is out of the picture. Unfortunately, Trebizond will have to wait until later. More political focus tree stuff will pressure the Theodorites, recycle the Nicene arsenal, and address the army. The last one gets rid of a national spirit and some manpower, but it does give us a lot of base stability in return. The Theodorites refers to Theodora, which is a country in Crimea that is right next to some state Trebizond controls there. Wei declares ambitions. This is a country in China. Speaking of which, we haven't really talked about the Chinese much. I guess since the Ming Dynasty collapsed, the entire country broke apart and it's just been like that. The Trapezontine Akoyunlu marriage, a diplomatic marriage, looks to have been made, resulting in the creation of the faction, the Kamani marriage, consisting of Trebizond and Akoyunlu. Thanks to the power of verbal threats, Diodoro gives up their territories in order to be spared from our coming crusade. Eat your heart out, Genoa. The Latin Empire is in Crimea. This new land will give us a position to attack nearby Trebizond, or at least a part of it. In the distant east, for Irat declared war on the Uzbeks, and the Yarkand Khanate gains its independence, so good for them, I guess. Speaking of the Four Irat, they are having internal strife due to a chieftain seeking to consolidate power within it, placing the confederation in a precarious situation. Ak Koyonlu starts a conflict with Fadl. This is, I think, the El Fadl, a Arab tribe, and in China, Yi declares their ambitions, and so do many other Chinese states. Let's continue the preparations for the Crusade by declaring the Second Roman Empire. Remember, this is being done by the Latin Empire, a Crusader state that kicked out the Byzantine Empire, which is referred to as the Eastern Roman Empire, and itself a continuation of the Roman Empire. Fighting has broken out in China. So far, it is just Wei and Chu, but with everyone else declaring their ambitions, who knows what will come next. Above Korea or Joseon, the Haishi Jurchens are battling the Jiangsu Jurchens. Zhang declares war on Derge. Whoever wins will be the main power of Tibet. We're so close yet so far to the 10th Crusade, as we need to prepare for it and make our way down a focus tree branch. Then we will prepare our combined forces. Only then, after all this, can the Crusade begin. Something big has happened. A battle royale has started in China. I can only guess the combined casualties of this entire ordeal. Somewhat nearby, Karakoyunlu is having a rough time as Safavid governors revolt, which begins a war between Ardabil and Karakoyunlu. This is possibly a result of Karakoyunlu's lax and negligent administrative reform. Karakoyunlu gets another war to deal with, and that is bad for them, and they now have to fight Ajamu. Khuzestan goes to war with them too. Yeah, it seems the writing is on the wall for Karakoyunlu, unless they can make a miracle happen. They just couldn't handle it, and they lost, so Ardabil and Ajamu gets a lot bigger because of their victory in the war. Military research is going very well. Behold, we have hook guns. The Latin volunteers' focus is done, and it gave us some troops, those being Crusader forces from France, Germany, and Venice. The Rome Sultanate declared war on their neighbors, the Isfendiyurids, who is one of the Beyliks of Anatolia. The Isfendiyurids joined the Kamani marriage faction. This results in Trebizond being called into the war, which gives the Rome Sultanate two enemies to fight at once. The focus, exploit Thessalonica's economy, is done. This allows us to get Thessalonica from our subject, the Kingdom of Thessalonica. The Isfendiyurids capitulated, which leaves Trebizond to fight Rome, and they aren't faring too well with that currently. Over in China, the brawl goes on. I hope Yi wins because I think they're neat. The Jurchens are done fighting one another, with Haishi being the victor, and the Four Irat get in a war with the Kolshids. Given the area, I presume they're a group of Mongols. War in Southeast Asia. Malacca attacks Djambi, and nearby that is a conflict between Aceh and Pasai. The War of Mongol Hegemony starts. The Northern Yuan shall face the Four Irat in battle, who have become weakened after a good amount of infighting. The 10th Crusade is declared. It shall not go to Jerusalem, but into Anatolia, and the Second Roman Empire will be the country to carry out this task. First countries we will be invading are Saruhan and Aydin. Once these two Beyliks are defeated, we will have secured control of the western coastline of Anatolia. The lease of Thessalonica is due. We can get the port back to our puppet or extend the lease. Let's go with the latter. Aydin fell first. With our victory there, we can swing in from the south and take out Saruhan while their troops are occupied at the front line. Northern Yuan won the war from Mongol hegemony and becomes Kamog Mongol, and a couple Chinese states declared their neutrality. In India, Delhi is having an issue because in their south, I think they're fighting what is called the Rajput Confederacy. We have just completed a focus that gives us a war goal on Rome, and we're going to take full advantage of it because they're still busy fighting Trebizond, so that gives us an opportunity to strike without too much resistance at the border we share. They have joined what is called the Axis Defensive Coalition faction. Let's hope they don't call in any help, or we will be facing a lot of enemies. Looking at Ispindial, the faction therein lost a member and gained one because Akkoyonlu left and Western Mughalistan joined for whatever reason. Rome was handled, that leaves Trebizond open to attack, and we have been waiting to do this for a while. Trebizond is the only country we're fighting right now, as we are still sort of the Latin Empire. This continues a tradition of attacking fellow Christian nations in Crusades. There is some pieces of land held by the Emirati in Georgia and the Safavids we want to take, so we have justified war goals on both of them. There are 2 independent beyliks still left in Anatolia we are going to attack. They are Karaman and Ramadan. With those 2 out of the way, let's turn our eyes to the east and focus on the states we have claims on there. We're going into Akkoyonlu, and we got Fadal in the Latin Alliance faction because we share the same enemy and whatnot. I will admit I am somewhat surprised by how the faction map has turned out at this point in the playthrough of this mod. Emirati is next on the list. We have already isolated a lot of their soldiers, and a path to Tbilisi is made. The Safavid order won't be as easy to capitulate, partially because they joined the Kamag Mongol Spear faction, which means we will have to take Crusaders to Mongolia. We got military access to another country fighting the Kamag Mongol. This will very much come in handy as we are going to use it to push into enemy territory. We triumphed, we got what we seeked, and puppeted a lot of countries, including Sang, which became Roman Yusang. The Crusade is finished. We did invade a few Christian countries, but that's just how Franco-ocracy works. The video is going to end here. If you enjoyed it, make sure to check out the mod in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, have an awesome day. I'll see y'all later. Bye.